Okay. I love a lot of different games for a lot of different reasons. Some are incredibly fun to play and have you hooked just by the gameplay loop and the elements that it has. Some are incredibly thought provoking and have a very deep lore that make you think about the actions that you're doing. Some are beautiful aesthetically and just in the landscape of the world that you're in. And some are just fucking ass. And I've played my fair share of those. But there was one game company and series in particular that did all of that for me. Those positive things. It's not fucking ass. It's a very good game. And that company was FromSoft, specifically with Dark Souls and Elden Ring. And that was kind of the games that I wanted to focus on in this video. I didn't play as much Bloodborne as Dark Souls and Elden Ring, just because it was on the PlayStation and I never really got around to it. It would be cool if you could release a PC port, because people have been waiting for that for a very long time now. But that's saying a lot, because I've played some pretty thought-provoking games like Overwatch 2. Jokes aside, I do love all of FromSoft's games, even if they beat my ass into the ground like that one guy trying to do the flip in the Spider-Man outfit. But today I wanted to talk about what makes these games so special and what aspects of them that I really do enjoy. So, my name's Cambrodia, welcome to the video. If you could subscribe, that would mean the absolute world to me, and if you can tell someone about me, that would also mean a lot. But I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. I will see you guys next time, and catch you later.
You fight with the strength of many men, Sir Knight. I am Arthur, King of the Britons.
The gameplay of Dark Souls and Elden Ring and most FromSoft games in particular, besides that one ninja motorcycle one we're not going to talk about, okay, that was a long time ago, is very different from many games. And by that, I mean that it's very fucking hard and difficult. And it makes you want to punch your grandma and call your best friend a doofus, and it gets really bad, and it gets pretty ugly sometimes, alright? It gets pretty bad. But that's also kind of the reward of it, and I didn't get it at first at all. I didn't like Dark Souls at first because I didn't understand why it was so difficult and why the devs had made it that way. And the longer I played it, the more it clicked with me what that gameplay cycle is and why they did that. It goes incredibly well with the gameplay mechanics, because once you finally defeat that boss that you've been trying to defeat for however many fucking attempts it takes you, I'm looking at you, Milena, it's the most rewarding feeling possibly in all of gaming that I can think about. It's like whenever you're driving home from like middle school and you want McDonald's but you're too scared to say anything, and then you see your mom turn on the blinker to like turn into McDonald's. That's the feeling you get. Also, Burger King, bring back the mac and Cheetos. I miss them so much. But it's not only the feeling of defeating that boss, but whenever you go back and play the game again and you defeat that boss that you had such a difficult time with on the first try, and you understand that you as the player have gotten better and not necessarily your character is what makes the biggest difference. While you can upgrade your character and make him better in a multitude of ways, it's primarily you, the player, that learns the movesets and understands the mechanics better of the game to beat that boss's ass. And another thing is that it doesn't have specifically one play style. You know, I don't really have a preference on any particular play style. Go hit the gym. Do your strength build. You know you want to. Books are for pussies. I'm aware that was the Frostmourne, but like it's different games, big ass sword. You know what I'm saying? But it's a gameplay loop that has been mimicked by a lot of Souls-likes, and I really feel like that the FromSoft games are the only people who get it down and have it almost to an exact science at this point. There are some ways to cheese bosses, absolutely, but I always find it the most fulfilling way is to really truly learn their moveset. And some of these bosses are going to absolutely beat your ass. It took me 4 hours to beat this Nameless King guy, but you know what? I did it. And whenever I beat him, I was the happiest guy in the world. Because Nameless King might be an optional boss, but you gotta fucking beat, you have to, alright? You can't just skip him. You gotta fight the Nameless King. That's like part of the thing. And just the entire atmosphere of fighting it with the music and the animations, the intro cutscenes to every boss, it's just, that kind of leads me into our next topic, which is the story.
You look lonely. I can fix that.
Stories in FromSoft games are also different from a lot of games in the way that they are very indirect, which I actually really like, because instead of it being spoon-fed to you, you have to take it in from either passages or items that you pick up, and it gives you a little description about what that item is and what its meaning is. This, in turn, makes every item that you find incredibly important, not just as an item, but as a lore piece and something that you can learn from. Not to mention, like, every single item has lore behind it just by how it looks. The Black Knight Greatsword. This is a editor note. I completely misspoke here. I am not talking about the Black Knight Greatsword. I am talking about the Fume Ultra Greatsword. I am so sorry about that. I misremembered the names. My bad. Anyway, let's keep the video going. You know where you get it from. You fight that guy under the bridge, but just the look of that sword, you can tell it's been through so many battles and has so much wear and tear on it. And it's the little details like that that make it one cohesive experience. Along with these items that you find, there's also these amazing and gripping side characters that you talk to who have some of the best written dialogue in all of gaming. And they tell the most just compelling stories that you'll ever hear in Promises, but in a way that you learn about them as they unfold rather than being spoon-fed to you. Like, for example, my favorite boss in the entire Dark Souls series is the Abyss Watchers. I have a half-sleeve tattoo of them on my arm. It's on the top of it. You can't really see it. But the reason that they were so special to me is because it's the only boss fight that you have an ally with you that isn't being summoned. It is the only Lords of Cinder who is more than one person. They were as a whole lit that fire and kindled it till the next flame. And now that they're all undead and they can't kindle it forever, they're now all kind of selfish and fighting each other in an eternal duel in that hall. And Hawkwood used to be a part of the Farron Legion. And you learn that about him just by the way he dresses. He wears the Farron Legion's clothes, which is some of the coolest fucking clothing you've ever seen. And once you beat the Abyss Watchers, he kind of challenges you to a duel in some way by the Abyss Watchers bonfire. He gives you a shield if you beat him, and he says he left it for the Ashen One, which is you. And there's just, you learn that he's called Hawkwood the Deserter. He deserted that legion a long time ago. And it's just it's little things like that that make you really pay attention to the story and what's going on. Not to mention, the reason that the Abyss Watchers' clothes are black on the bottom and they have those kind of black tendrils is that's part of the Abyss from the person who kind of started the Farron Keep Legion, Artorias the Abyss Walker. Which you never actually see him, because by the time you meet him in the older games, he's already been overtaken by the Abyss. And you see a husk of a great warrior who once was like a daring sword wielder and could walk the Abyss. Which is so fucking cool. And not all of them are, like good people almost. You get this guy from the Undead Settlement in Patches. Don't even get me started on Patches. Where you find the piece of his lover Loretta's bone and he goes crazy once you find it and becomes very sad. And it's little things like that that really do add to the world building. And you feel his pain through his dialogue whenever you give him that item. Siegward of Katarina and Yorm the Giant is probably one of my favorite lore pieces in all of the Dark Souls franchise, which if you don't know, Yorm used to be the protector of this underground city, and he became kind of corrupt and ended up saving all of the wealth for himself, and that civilization is in ruins now. Siegward of Katarina is this lovable onion knight that was best friends with Yorm and promised him that if he were ever to do wrong, he would kill him. Because Yorm asked him to do that if it were to ever come to the circumstance, which it has. And you meet Siegward, you have no idea who he is, and yet the more you talk to him and the more you uncover his story and learn that he's fulfilling a purpose for a friend. Now, once you get to Yorm's boss fight, you can summon Siegward, and I do every single time. And once you defeat Yorm, he sits and gives you a Sieg Brew and gives you a emote that you can now do. And then leaves. Disappears. Oh my god. That's some of the most, just heavy storytelling that isn't... It has nothing to do with you. It's just in the world. That's so impressive. And I'm sure that you can tell that Sigurd of Catarina is a very fashionable man and has a very distinct armor set. And that's kind of what I also wanted to talk about in this next section, which is the aesthetics of FromSoft games.
And I'm not your bra. Whatever, dude. Whatever. Peace. God bless.
FromSoft has some of the best level, NPC, fucking world design I have ever seen from any company ever. All of the armor sets feel so distinct, and not in the fact that they are in that world, but in the fact that they are very different from one another, and you can tell that one comes from either a different civilization, Legion, Blacksmith, and there's so much to learn about it from there. And this isn't just in Dark Souls. I mean, if you really want to get down to it, I think the best looking game aesthetically for a FromSoft game is Bloodborne. But that's also very subjective, and I completely understand if it's not yours. And I mean, just look at this footage behind me is from Elden Ring, and this took me like, I loaded up like my save, and this took me 15 minutes to get. And you can go anywhere in that game, and it looks like you're in a Lord of the Rings scene. So it's mind-blowing to me that we live in an era where this is a thing and can happen, and I can play it. And every boss's aesthetic is so unique to him and his moveset. The Nameless King he looks like an anime character in the best possible way, and it makes sense because he literally controls lightning and rides a dragon. So he kind of has to. And I think part of the aesthetic can also be kind of talked about within the music part of it. Because the Dark Souls and Elden Ring, and really just all of FromSoft's games, have some of the best soundtracks I have ever heard. And a lot of them are in memes, but the reason that they're used so heavily is because they are so recognizable and good. I'll just play the opening cutscene to Dark Souls, like the first 15 seconds of the opening cutscene to Dark Souls 3 for you. Because here it is.
Yes, indeed. It is called Lothric, where the transitory lands of the Lords of Cinder converge. In venturing north, the pilgrims discover the truth of the old.
Now, tell me that in combination with the music and the amazing voice acting, that doesn't get you hyped. It does. I'm sorry. If it doesn't, you're just not a human. You're an NPC. Or my favorite boss fight music is from the Abyss War. Listen to it. Yeah, I know. And I feel like there's not much to talk about aesthetically besides me just restating what I've already said about every item in the game, and I truly mean that. Like, every item looks great, every soundtrack sounds amazing, and every boss looks incredibly unique from one another. But that brings me to my last topic, which is the multiplayer.
All right.
Oh, are you sure we gotta play space here? Like, this is kind of
Come on, Ricky, look at this. This is awesome. Mission Control, this is Commander Bubbles. I'm getting an MPS warning light on the link monitor control.
Now, the multiplayer in the Dark Souls series has been kind of unbalanced for a long time, but that does not mean that it has not been fun, because oh my god, every part of the Dark Souls 3 multiplayer is incredibly fun. You can make some of the most goofy builds, and they just work. Remember a long time ago, I was on the internet, and big kind of gimmick build that was going around was just the 2 big-ass doors that you can have. It's just, Dark Souls 3 players are some of the most funniest fucking people I have ever met. And the entire system of committing yourself to a legion and then invading other people's worlds and fighting for that legion is kind of a unique idea. It keeps the game alive for much longer. I mean, Dark Souls 3 still has a very vivid and like live player base. Like, there's a reason for that. If you haven't given Dark Souls multiplayer a shot, just go try it. It's so much fun. There's so many funny builds you can do. There's a whole dueling area outside of Pontus Olivin's boss fight. Just go there, put your little thing down, go invade people, do whatever. It's a hell of a time. But I think that's really all that I wanted to say for this video. I appreciate it if you've made it to this point, so thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you've made it to this point. I will see you next time. My name is Cambrodia, and have a good rest of your day.